Hello and welcome back to the Monster Hunter Generations demo where we have got some more great sorting to do. So let's get our great sword and our Nargacuga. We're going to use aerial first. Now, aerial greatsword is interesting in that it loses its ability to do charge attacks while on the ground, which is a pretty big loss. I'm not going to lie, it's basically, you lost the bread and butter of the weapon. In exchange, they can charge in the air, and the aerial charge is actually much quicker. So, basically, if you can jump a lot, you're gonna be able to get a lot of really good hits in. But the thing is, that requires the monster to basically stay where you jumped off it from. Otherwise, you're just gonna be whiffing. It's definitely... It takes some finesse if you want to actually do well with aerial greatsword. So, let's go ahead and say hello to this Narga. Hello. So yeah. That's actually interesting. I tapped X, and apparently if you unsheath with X, it automatically does a little jump for you. So let's see what happens if I jump onto the monster with that. Need to actually get there, though. Okay, so it does count as a jumping attack for the purposes of mounting, but there's no charging and you can't actually vault off the monster with it. But still, it's interesting that you can actually do a jumping draw attack. And I'm just testing a few things here. Narga, that doesn't help me. Alright, so yeah, definitely no charging of any sort on the ground. Do we still have our slap? We do. And how about our kick? Yup. Okay, so we need to stop getting beaten up so that we can actually get to testing our air charges. Yeah, the fact that the unsheath attack also does a mount hit, that's pretty nice, honestly. Also, I need to get Narga to hold still so I can... Yeah. So, that shows right there. Okay, A button does nothing. R button does nothing. So, we literally can only do charge attacks after vaulting off a monster. Still got that. I don't really use the upswing too often. Come on, Narga. So it looks like you automatically let go of your charge when you hit the ground. Which is totally fine because it looks like you can actually get up to level 3 pretty much right when you hit the ground. But yes, the problem does exist that unless the monster is holding still, you're basically going to whiff it. Which is really unfortunate. Of course, I guess that's true of charging up on the ground as well. In fact, it's just as true of charging up on the ground. So I'm going to try... Looks like I stopped the Narga from grabbing a meal. I need to try following up those air charges with stuff. See what happens. Okay. So, we can follow it up with a round slash, though doesn't feel any more powerful than an ordinary one. Well, actually, it kind of does. It is slower, it just doesn't have the effects on it that the round slash following the supercharge does. So I imagine it's probably weaker than that one. And Narga's hungry and leaving. Oh, hey, let's grab some dung. Why not? Oh, yeah. Now we have dung. Because that was important. I'm actually surprised we haven't gotten a mount yet. I'm sure I've done like 5 hits with this. Come on, Narga. And seems we just do not have the strong charge. Our unsheath attack has to be really weak in terms of mount status, because otherwise we would have gotten on the Narga by now. Like, it's gotta be super weak. But there's our mount. Stabby, stabby, stabby. Probably would have been in my best interests to just vault off it to begin with instead of doing an unsheath attack. Rawr. Well, this isn't going to end well. Or maybe it is. Good job, Narga. Again, probably shouldn't have done an unsheath attack. So, when you're on a stationary monster, this actually feels pretty nice. On moving monsters, not so much, because pretty much you lose the bread and butter of the greatsword, and in exchange you become better against stationary monsters, I guess. It's not really a terribly good trade-off. Like, I'm sure it's strong, it's just... it doesn't feel exciting except when the monster is holding still. So being able to draw into such a quick charge like this, it's nice. Just could be nicer, you know? Also, it's tough to actually aim well. Like, sure, you can change the angle that you're attacking at. Like, hold any direction before holding X, and you'll face that direction as you charge, which, yeah, that's one thing you can do. Also, you can basically... you've got some limited control over which direction you go after you vault. Like, I can vault this way. But the thing is, you need to put those two together and still try and make it hit the part of the monster you want. So if you're going for a small but weak part, like, say, Nargacuga's face, well, then you might have a tough time. Boop. Also, really? I was like nowhere near the tail. Yeah, it's one of those where I think the monster moving around even slightly has a greater chance of making you just flat out miss when you're using aerial greatsword. And just flat out missing with a greatsword always feels terrible. Okay, Narga, I don't have stamina. That's kind of the thing about aerial. You run out of stamina really quick if you're doing lots and lots of jumping. Ooh. Saved by... Oh, I'm dead now. But I was temporarily saved by the brief invulnerability you get during the hop. If you manage to connect with part of the monster during the frames of the hop from which you can actually vault, you get to ignore the attack that would have hit you. It's actually quite nice in certain situations. And it looks like Narga's going to 5, so let's go this way. And say hi to the turtle on our way. Hi, turtle. Okay. Just gotta go one more area. And presto, there's a Narga Kuga. Rawr. Let's put this down. Dang it. Couldn't panic dive. Wasn't going away from the monster enough, I guess. Ooh, it's tired now. Oh, cats, you get back here. We want it to go in the trap. Going after those Kelbies is not going to help our cause. Sophie, come on. It's a Kelby. You don't have to go fight it. Arthur. Sophie. Seriously? Cats, I hope you know that's your fault. Somehow. I feel like if the cats were hanging out next to me at the trap the whole time, maybe we would have had the Narga actually getting into it. Because it did the zigzag jumps kind of towards them. But then again, it didn't get far enough. But still, I feel like it's their fault. Of course, had I crouched instead of staying standing, they would have crouched next to me and not tried to go after the freaking Kelbies. But whatever. That's where it's going to be handy, where how in the actual game you can basically set what kinds of targets your cats go after. Like, they've got their own preferences when you hire them, but you can actually change their preferences. Which makes it so that you can make it so they won't go after Kelbies. By telling them to go after large monsters only or large first. But that does come with its own problem, like, say there's Bullfangos in the area and you want those things cleared out without having to worry about it yourself. Well, in that case, you're going to want to let your cats target small monsters, aren't you? Always a trade-off. There are some small monsters that are definitely less pleasant to deal with, and others that are completely ignorable, like these Alteroths. So, really, it's, I guess, going to depend on where you're going and what you're hunting. Like, if you're fighting something big and nasty, well, you're going to want the cats to probably focus on the big and nasty thing, aren't you? But then again, if it's got a lot of small and annoying friends, then sometimes you want those dead. Again, the obvious examples being Bullfangos and Renoplos. Ludroths can also be obnoxiously persistent, and Uroktors on occasion. Let's get out of the way of that. There we are. Alright, so aerial greatsword. Effective. Finicky. Requires finesse. Okay. So now for the final greatsword style, Adept. Let's do it. I actually have no idea what this gains and loses, so we'll have to find out, won't we? Grabbing the stuff as usual. Okay, now to test this thing out. No strong charge. Yep, just goes right back to the regular charge. Okay, and the kick, still here. Good, all styles of greatsword still have the kick. That's the most important attack, I'll have you know. Okay, Narga's moving. Where to? Looks like up to 7. That's unusual. So we're going to have to see what we get for dodging things. Unfortunately, well, I don't know. Maybe. We'll have to see. Because some weapons, if they're... Okay, so it looks like we can do an upswing following an adept dodge. And then we can follow that upswing with a strong charge. Ooh, and it's quick and automatically lets go pretty quickly as well. So, gonna have to try pressing A following an evade here in a moment. Okay, A does nothing. I'm guessing R is the same. Because, I mean, why would you follow up an evade with a block? Okay, and then we can combo right back out of that, but only with regular charges. So this is definitely gonna require a lot of precision because after dodging an attack, you've got the little run back in, which you need to be able to accurately judge where you should be running to. And then you've got this, and then if you've got time, you can do the really quick strong charge. But the thing is, that takes time. So I imagine for big, slow monsters, this will be quite effective. Narga, probably not the best target to show it off. It looks like we can't really change our direction between the upswing and the strong charge. So yeah, I'm trying to strong charge off to the left, and it didn't work. So yeah. Like, we've still got the ability to change the direction of our charge a little bit as normal. Like, we can still angle it left or right. We just can't turn around relative to where we did the upswing. Yep, stuck facing the direction that you upswung in. And you're stuck upswinging in the direction you ran in, so making sure you run the correct direction is going to be essential. Your roar is too short range, Narga. Thankfully, we can still have access to the full combo, even if we dodge something while our weapon is sheathed. Also, it's really nice how quickly the strong charge actually charges. Would be nice if it had more reach or was more able to be manipulated as far as trajectory goes, but it works. A big slow monster would let this really shine. Like, I'm sure you could pull off some amazing damage on, say, Gammoth. Gammoth is really big, really slow, has fairly predictable attacks. I imagine Bushido Greatsword would have a field day against it. Against Narga, not so much. Still effective, though. It looks like Narga's going over to 9. So, unless it's tired, I think... Let's use this. And hopefully, following the para, we'll be able to piss it off, but good. Still not angry, huh? To let that go early, but in doing so, I managed to actually get the hit, so that's nice. Unfortunately, Adept really loses its luster when you're doing things like trapping the monster because, well, if they can't attack you, you can't dodge their attacks, and thus you lose access to your best moves. So I guess that's what Hunter Arts are for. Maybe bring a really powerful one for when the monster is trapped. I don't believe Ground Slash is terribly powerful, but at least it's something. Let's get this first aid med. Oh, yeah. So, yeah. Basically, if you're using Adept and plan to trap something, make sure you've got a Hunter Art that can actually do good damage so that you'll actually have something useful to do while the monster can't attack you. There you go. Unfortunately, we are not charged on our Ground Slash right now, so we're just stuck with this, which, I mean, getting off level 3 charges isn't bad by any stretch of the imagination. Especially if you're hitting the monster's weak spot. Had I let that go a bit earlier, I might have actually gotten a hit. Thanks for dodging nowhere. Okay. Well, we know Narga sleeps over here, so it'll almost... Yeah, it's coming here. So let's put that there. That there. Oh, I guess we didn't need to do it. There we are. Always neat when you get a kill with a Hunter Art. Feels impressive. Carving my first aid meds. Can never have enough. Alright, so that's it for the greatsword styles. I feel like they're actually all pretty decent. Against most monsters, though, I think you're probably going to want to be sticking with either Guild or Striker. Striker does lose the strong charge, which is sad, but it still functions pretty decently well. So if you feel you really want that extra art slot, it can be worth it. And Guild is just the same strong greatsword that you've always been familiar with. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on greatswords in this game. Join us next time when we try out a different weapon, one that I'm not familiar with, or at least certainly less familiar with, because we've already done all the ones that I feel really comfortable with. So yeah, join us next time when we try something else. See you then, friends.